That was funny. That was Andrea calling me. I'm like, I'm on air.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, diligent, doing the work, being awesome, but
yeah, no, I got you. I didn't see it yet, so I messaged her to make sure the link hadn't updated on us.
Yeah, it took a little delay to get in. My apologies.
Yeah. Let's see what this is. It's not. It's like
Working on that. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. About to get started. I got to do one more thing. Make sure we're up and running on. I think we're up on Instagram. I don't know why it's not going through.
Cool.
Let's see it. Let's see, where is that? Yeah, it doesn't look like it wants to do that. Hold on 1 second. Let me see if I can remedy that.
Why does it hate Instagram so much?
I don't know.
Is it for its freedoms?
Yeah, that's what it is. It's for Zuckerberg's thick neck. Just doesn't approve.
For his charismatic way.
Yeah, his new
he
the
brings
new
people in and really
machismo.
makes them right. He makes us all feel like just right at home because he's so cool.
Nerd alert. Okay, now it should be.
Nerd alert.
Maybe that's what happened. Maybe Instagram gave me a new streaming, not just the streaming key, but the URL as well. Let's see.
Do you need me to go over to Instagram and kick somebody's ass for you, Hal?
Yeah, please.
Because I'll do it.
Okay, let's
I don't
see
like
if
when they mess with my friends. You know
I know.
what I'm
I don't like it either. This is why I need a lead-in to start the stream. Otherwise, I would start it right out of the gate. But you have to start like some of the streams yourself, like manually. Yeah. And
you have a lot more patience than I do. That's why I stick to very basic streaming stuff. And luckily, Substack does everything for me on that Thursday show.
Right.
Excuse me.
When in doubt, start from scratch.
When in doubt, source it out. What I like to say.
Never.
I know you're different than me, and that's not an insult of you. You just clearly don't have my particular form of ADHD.
I have my own special version.
Well, I don't know. Either you have your own special version or you don't at all. But my form doesn't allow me to do all these little technical things, or I lose my mind.
Let's see. Copy that. And then we'll put this in here. I'm going to give it one more shot on here, and then if not, I'm going to have to wrangle this later because it's being a jerk. Okay, that's up. Now, click back Instagram again. There's no reason why it shouldn't be working right now. There's no legitimate reason anyways.
That was the key word in there, is the legitimate.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
There's always reasons. Generally, they have to do with chaos theory and that kind of thing.
Exactly. Nope. It's just being a jerk.
Well, you're allowing me to promote this really cool column while I'm waiting.
Well, good.
By
Okay,
this
I'm
guy,
glad I'm helping.
I think you know, because you do stand up with him, is a guy named Brian Karam.
Oh, yes.
He was kind enough to write a great column for my Substack, and I'm sharing it some places. So, you tell me when you're ready to go, and
Okay,
I'll be ready.
we're almost there. Almost there. I'm going to give Instagram one more shot, and then I know I said no, but let's see. Okay. Turned off Instagram. Turn this thing. Put this in here. Paste it again. Show it. Okay. Unexpected error occurred when trying to connect to Instagram. Oh, good. Oh, there it goes. That probably means it'll work now. Nope. Okay, we'll go on without it. We'll live without it. All right.
You sure?
I'm gonna bring everybody in 1 second.
Hi,
everybody.
Call you and complain.
That's right. That sultry tone you guys hear in the background is our dear friend Cliff Schechter, who is joining us in the bunker today. I feel like this is the only safe place to be right now. Cliff joining me in the secret underground hideout that I've constructed for myself.
Is the only safe place to be. I mean, if we're being honest.
I have to I have to be if you want to be honest about it, is I've been making friends with AI lately, and I finally figured out how to create a tight green screen that does not bleed onto the other images in an image creation. And it took so much work that I just and we were on our car trip when we were driving to and from Disneyland for my son's birthday.
Nice.
Summer was she's like, I'll drive first, and I was like, oh yeah, that's fine. So I hook my laptop up to my phone as a hotspot, and I start doing some work. And this was something that I had, managed to I'm like, this is one thing I'm going to solve. So I literally started teaching the AI that I use how to do it. And now it understands it as what I'm asking for. And then as soon as I started asking for stuff, I have it gave me a log cabin that I was able to make, and I was able to make more rooms for my spaceship. I was very excited. So I got a little carried away. Yes.
Do you have an actual green screen, or does it create like a sort of?
I have an actual one. No, I have an actual one. I don't trust.
I didn't know if that was possible yet. If you could create a virtual one or not.
There are fairly good ones. NVIDIA has a fairly good one. You have to have one of their cards in your computer to do it. But
I'm thinking about that because for some of my videos, I realized that the back and forth between critiquing something and then going to the video, more in like TikTok type style, actually being there in front of it could be kind of cool. So
it's super easy. Elgato has a pull up one that you put on the floor and you just pull right up out of the ground. And for where you are, it would go right where that shelf is behind you, and it would cover it perfectly for what you do. Yeah.
Then I may do it. And my office because you're one of the few souls.
That's right.
Who has actually visited this office.
That is correct. And so, hi chat room. Welcome to the show. Glad you guys could be here. We have a lot to talk about today. We haven't had a chance to talk in a couple of weeks, so there's a lot of catching up to do. I will say the most important thing though is that we all have to, because this happened a little bit while I was away as well. There needs to be more sympathy for Dan Bongholio and Kash Patel, and that they didn't know this was going to be a job. Okay,
the difficult sort of circumstances they've been thrust into, where they find they have to work, where they have to work for a living. It's a lot easier just to sort of, plot coups on the run and, send out nasty tweets to people and then block them and then go to a burner account and see that they called you something that was even more clever. So then to unblock them so you can insult them again, but then block them again and go to the burner account. Dan Bongino actually did all of this to me once. Or I think twice. And I was telling people, I'm like, that's the guy that's going to be at the FBI. The guy that blocked me, went to a burner account, saw that I said something funnier than he did. Not to be arrogant, but it's not hard to be funnier than Dan Bongino.
Sure.
And he got pissed off about it, so he unblocked me to insult me again, and then blocked me again, thinking that I wouldn't know that he was watching from a burner account. So I insulted him again, and he got mad and came back. I mean, that's the guy who's the deputy of the FBI.
Yeah, who apparently, by the way, has no idea how any of this works. Like that is the I started
this whole government thing.
Yeah, I started this by accident last week, but like a new game show I want to do called "That's Not How This Works," and it like everybody on Trump's team would just be like our returning champion loser because none of them know.
I think actually how I think, not to interrupt you, but I think that would be a great segment. I'm not kidding. You should either do that or I'm going to have to steal it from you because the comedy that could create each week, Carolyn Levitt going like, these courts have no right to get in the way of Donald Trump's agenda, domestic agenda. They have no right to judge. I think she actually used that word. These judges have no right to
have no right to judge. Yeah, like, and I'm sorry, that's not how this works. Our returning champion. Yeah, you get 100 points for every misconstrued idea that you have about the function of something normal that everyone else seems to understand. That's right, our returning Carolyn Levitt, returning champion this week. Where you the only game where you can win by being a loser.
I'm going to have to.
I'm going to do it. I'll do it. I'll create a game show set with my newfound AI powers. And and there are and somebody was like, none of them are serious. How? Well, here's the thing. On the one hand, it's very if you live in normal land, it can be very upsetting when these people don't know how stuff works. On the other hand, it is very reassuring that none of them know how anything works, because people who know how things work can destroy things.
Now.
Yes, right.
Yes. The fact that Donald Trump doesn't know how anything works is so unbelievably stupid. Obviously, well into dementia, lazy as hell.
Right.
Has more sort of disorders from the DSM manual than you can count, and the rest is actually a lot of what has been saving us. Because
absolutely,
in the end, he can't get his act together to do he's needed that little evil vampire troll, Stephen Miller, there to enact a lot of his worst immigration policies. Because if it were left up to him, it just would never happen.
Right.
He'd be too busy playing golf and finding porn star number 7.
Yeah, and instead, now I'm sure you're up on all of your right-wing terminology, and one of the running things that they talked about on the regular was being a cuck, being cucked, and the cucking of the cuck.
Oh yeah,
the cuck right. Being a cuck
is an old word that actually had a meaning that they tried to take and turn into a political insult. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And apparently, by the way, that is the term for what Diddy would allegedly be doing with Cassie, where he watches other men have sex with his wife, right? And he gets off on that idea.
That's being cuckolded in the old term is somebody else. Which, by the way, in one of those books about Trump, and again, I've always given the theory of Trump is really simple. You know, like daddy didn't love him, deep hole in his soul, can never get enough admiration, always wanted all the stars that he saw, elitists to love him. And so when they insult him, like a Bruce Springsteen, he hates the world that much more. And part of the way, so that's why everything is a dominance play, including tariffs on people. He doesn't seem to get that when you pull back on all of those tariffs, it just makes you even weaker than if you've done nothing. But I get to all this because in one of those books on him, it said one of the writers have been obviously a bunch of them about how he liked to sleep with his friends' wives. Yes. And that is the ultimate. He liked to cuckold them. And it's the ultimate. First of all, it's so despicable that somebody would do that. We don't even need to get into what an absolutely abhorrent human being is, but it tells you for these guys, like that deep, that deep space inside of them where the rest of us have an actual soul. And they've just got sort of empty space for, extra spaghetti on a Friday night. And, all they know is trying to fill that with something to make them not hate themselves every day. And for Trump, it's always a dominance play.
Sure. And I would, I'm never one to over psychoanalyze people. I think if you're over 30 years old, you're responsible for all your flaws. If you didn't clean them up during your 20s,
don't think I'm letting him off the hook. Just no, I'm saying.
Not at all. Yeah. But what I am saying is that Trump has, at least for a period of time, found a way of getting his needs met at the expense of other people. He's a bad person.
Correct.
And the
that's
problem
with
his
life, I would argue. I mean,
yeah, I agree. But I think once his life was his to control, would be the theory, right? And before that, he was just kind of like banging against the bars of his cage, kind of in theory being a pain in the ass, but not really having much impact on the world. The change now,
no,
though,
right? I mean, but in business, I just meant he didn't have the ability to harm the numbers of people he does today.
by no means, right?
Even back then, to fill that hole, he didn't pay workers. All sorts of workers, but famously the one, I think they were Polish immigrants, of course, who worked on Trump Tower in New York. He didn't pay contractors. There are numerous ones interviewed famously. Some guy that created the grand piano for the Taj Mahal, he paid him 40% what he owed him, and the guy ended up going out of business. And there are a million more contractors like that. He ripped off business partners. You know, I mean, again, like he can never, everything is a dominance play where if it's a zero-sum game. It can't be that Donald Trump is doing well and the country is doing well, or Donald Trump's doing well and his best friend X is doing well. It has to be that he only feels like he's doing well if he's hurting you. That's the way it works.
And if he's besting,
that's not psychoanalysis, that's his entire life. I mean,
and that's also when he's besting other people. So the idea that if he's successful on the merits, it has no meaning whatsoever. He's got to be successful at the expense of someone else because that's part of that dominance
exactly
power
right.
play.
That's exactly right. If somebody's not being hurt, he's not being successful.
So I've had this theory for quite some time that if Trump wants an organization in the government to fail, he puts a woman in charge of it because it's a double win for him. It's this situation where he can he announces to his faithful that I'm putting a woman in charge. Don't worry, we're going to get rid of this thing, because women can't run anything. So he gets to be misogynistic, right? At the same time.
Oh, I agree. I had a live stream I think it was about 2 weeks ago that brought a lot of folks in because, again, here and there, I still know. So you came on the show that I did on, that I do on Substack. I co-host it with every Thursday, Amped Up with Cliff Schechter at Substack, 2 p.m. Eastern. I host it with David Schuster, Emmy Award winner, great broadcast host. And between David and I, we still have some contacts in D.C. On the consultant side, he on the media side, we find out stuff. And I found out that after that very wonderful week that Kristi Noem had, this fits into your theory of putting women in charge of stuff, where she was, of course, because she's like the rest of them that is just seeks fame in any way possible. They've all failed at getting fame other ways, so they will do it any way they can. She was pitching that reality show where immigrants who are here would try to become Americans, which is one of the sickest things I've ever heard.
Right.
She'd kick the rest of them out afterwards and destroy their lives. But she'd get to star in it, so that was key. And that leaked, and she tried to deny it. She, habeas corpus, she was trying to explain, and I think somewhere she claimed it was Corpus Christi, Texas or something. I don't know, but she certainly didn't know what it was. And she got reamed by Dan Goldman and Eric Swalwell, a couple of the really good folks on that committee, when she kept her robotic talking points and she couldn't say anything but blah, blah, blah. She just kept trying to repeat the same thing and they made her look stupid. So I found out that Trump's people have been talking about firing her, that in the inner circle,
of course.
I found out from I still have a couple sources in D.C. that he was embarrassed by her, which it's always funny to me when Trump gets embarrassed by other people, but that's a different story. And that she was hard, and there was talk of that, just the way there was talk of Hegseth. Seems like it ended the same way, which is she's still there, so they didn't do it, whether it was Trump pushing it or others pushing it on him. But point being, there's another example of she's ignoring the Constitution. She's breaking the law. If we get back to the rule of law someday in the future, she absolutely could go to prison for the rest of her life.
Right.
And, and so what did he do? He puts Kristi Noem there and she'll end up, and when that all gets screwed up and all that stuff happens, he can dump her and blame it all on her.
Well, yeah. And so this is one of the things that happened over the last week was that, Summer and I are here in Las Vegas, and she put out Kristi Noem put out this list of sanctuary cities that they were going to go after in counties. And for the record, Las Vegas is by no means a sanctuary city. It's just absurd. This is a town of not just immigrant newcomers all the time. Nobody stays here for very long. This is a transitional town.
Because of that industry within the United States, there's a lot of in-migration there.
Right. And yes, but they also aren't afraid to boot people out of this town. They do it on the regular. They're not blocking the exit of anybody, except high rollers. Maybe they'll keep them in a room for a little while. Anybody who isn't a high roller, they can't wait for them to come here, dump your wallet, and leave town. That's the purpose. So the idea that Vegas is one of these things is just stupid. It doesn't. I mean, there's cities that are proud sanctuary cities and make their case for it, but Vegas is not one of them. But it got on this list.
Well, but again, these people, they don't sit there and do things that we would call research and fact checking and editing. And I mean, it's why they put out press releases with multiple spelling errors. I mean, it's a clown show from top to bottom. So even on very serious subjects like this, just the way, oops, we deported a guy that wasn't supposed to be on the list to a prison filled with terrorists. It looks more like a concentration camp. Instead of trying to bring that guy back, we'll try not to forever. And I'm going to go pose in front of it because I'm Kristi Noem. I mean, we're not serious people. We have very unserious, very like trite, very superficial and very evil people in positions that are actually serious and need real people in them.
Yeah, and
we're going to Vegas being declared
exactly
a sanctuary city.
This is one of those situations where he's handed people in his cabinet, and the cabinet secretaries have been handed a list of things that he made promises of on the campaign trail, many of which that are absolutely illegal or not possible because gravity exists, because the laws of physics cannot be changed by an executive order.
Though?
Right.
Is Ronnie Jackson still arguing against gravity,
hey,
maybe?
Look, it's like the Bill Hicks thing. Look, if you think you can fly, just take off from the ground. Don't test it in the air. And in this particular case,
I'm okay with however they'd like to test it, if I'm being honest with you. I'm not going to wish anything upon anybody because that's not the way I work. But I'm also not going to tell them not to do whatever they think they can do. If you guys convinced you can fly, you go right ahead and try wherever makes you happy.
Well, and that brings us to our dear friend Leon over here. Elon Musk's failing grade as Doge dropout heads back to the future. This is from the Daily Beast.
Nice.
Musk would like to see himself as Marty McFly as he heads out of the White House and Back to the Future, or as a misunderstood genius, misunderstood genius Will Hunting, without any of the goodwill he believes he deserves. Right now, the richest man in the world is now as popular as Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And they're really selling the cultural references here.
If I may use the term, and as a man, he's a man, so I believe I can without people getting angry at me. He's a whiny little bitch.
Yes,
and he is a complaining. You saw it. He had that same victim complex. He's like, I don't understand why people hate Tesla. All I'm trying to do is help the universe. I'm like, was that before the Sieg Heil, or after you endorsed the Nazi Party in Germany, or before all you crushed USAID? I mean, there's something like, and I'm not kidding you. Like, I was reading a report on this. There's something like a now 50 plus more cases of HIV in various countries in Africa now every single day because of that son of a bitch. And he's so clueless. He has there will be, and I've gotten to that point where I don't believe we sugarcoat these things anymore. There will be tens of thousands of people, and I think that's a generous estimate, that will be dead because Elon Musk got to go and parade around as, with his little stupid meme coin name or what, meme coin, like Doge, and think he was a cool guy and break into the Treasury Department with his group of basement dwelling incels, and steal all of our data. I mean, and the thing that's amazing to me is, the tech press was just as pathetic as the political press. They built this guy up into this god, this Tony Stark on Earth and whatever, and he could have just embraced that and gone with it the rest of his life. But instead, he chose. I mean, I've never seen in such a short period of time as a person who does a lot of political marketing and messaging, but has done even some corporate stuff, the wholesale destruction of a brand. 79% is the new number that they are down in Western Europe in sales. Yeah. They are down like 30 to 40% in our I think it's 40-something% in our largest market by far in the United States, California, and overall in the United States. Like, his company's dying. And I got news for him. I think Altria is already taken, but he may want to see if he can go with Altria too, for what Philip Morris did or what Enron did, or because that brand's never coming back. Like,
which was Blackwater that turned into She and used their name as X, which I'm surprised they didn't sue him about at some point. The issue with
it's done. Tesla is destroyed as a name. People will not buy it anymore. He didn't choose to step out and insult a general customer base. He literally chose to step out and constantly kick dirt in the face of the exact people who bought his cars.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And there were alternatives being offered from other companies. It was just a brilliant strategy, everybody. It'll be studied in business school forever.
Well, I'm curious, which class would this be if it's taught in business school? Musk blows up online as ketamine dinner clip resurfaces. This is where he's building, he was building like silverware towers because he was bored like a child sitting at the table. And Trump is
I love that one. Yeah.
There. He's right there. It's not
that'll
even
pop up in business class. You know what? That will pop up in business class, Hal, because that will be, hi, when you sign on to the board of an organization, you have a fiscal responsibility. And when you see the ketamine kid sitting there playing with Lego, endorsing Nazi parties, Sieg Heiling on stage, and doing all the stuff he does, and their shares falling a massive, massive amount, you have a duty, because I've been on nonprofit boards, it's the same deal. You have a duty at that point to remove the CEO. And for anybody who was invested heavily in Tesla and lost a lot of money, there's a class action suit just sitting there waiting to go after every one of those board members, unless you can find them on the record clearly in board meetings fighting to get him fired and having them be outvoted, because they've destroyed that company by allowing him to stay there. And it's a public company, and there are going to be a lot of pissed off people when the smoke clears pretty soon.
And the other thing is, like, they have been coasting on the fact that the stock has been resilient because of his support for Trump and Trump's support for him, and the fact that he has a lot of government contracts, and their belief the P&E.
And I suspect some manipulation. I suspect a few billionaires have been propping it up by buying.
Oh, absolutely,
crap,
and himself through other sources taking government money that he gets from SpaceX and pouring it into it, or like. Saudi buddies and that kind of stuff, which is, and
there were numerous, Doge did that too, right?
Right.
There were numerous agencies he went into. You found out he fired the entire communications staff or whatever it was. And magically Starlink was now hired at a much higher, level. So in any case, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, and he's also trying to get in early. We'll talk about Starlink, no doubt, over the next little bit, because like Kuiper goes online. There are two other competitors that go online. What Musk has been kind of predicating on for a while is early into the market, you own most of the share. If you don't screw it up like he has, you're guaranteed probably 80% market share for a period of time if you're first on the scene, because everybody
you get there early, you just scoop it up.
Just get tooled and up and running. Takes everybody a long time, and everybody is Burger King to your McDonald's for a very long time at best, right? They're regional, that kind of stuff, like Rivian, the car company. Was regional.
Rivian is now expanding and now getting to the point where they're challenging him, and that never would have happened without his self-destruction.
Right. So for those that don't know, the Rivian cars, were like, once there were incentives. Thank you, Joe Biden, and thanks Obama, because quite frankly, there would have been no Tesla at all if it hadn't been for Obama. Quite frankly, none of us would even be talking about this dude because of the bailout.
No, they wanted us to keep snorting oil for the rest of our lives.
Right, but the Rivian cars are cool looking. They've got the range. They've got everything you would need in an electric car, an electric SUV. That's these guys right here, and they were almost going out of business a couple of years ago.
Yep.
They were hanging on by the skin of their teeth. And now they are opening more stores everywhere, and their stock price is going up. Now, it's not nutty meme stock levels like Tesla is at hundreds of dollars a share. But
at some point, Tesla is going to crash, and those folks are going to move over. And I don't mean just literally, as Teslas do, as Cybertrucks decide to just crash into walls randomly and have their glued-on panel fall off, because they've been constructed like I constructed a mini Millennium Falcon when I was a kid. But what will happen is people will move. There are more traditional car companies. Honda, some of them have put out some good models.
Yeah.
But Rivian, I think, could especially be the one to rival take a lot of that Tesla market.
In Europe, if you don't want to buy a Chinese electric vehicle, which there's a lot of reticence and understandable, because if they can track you with the drones they sell, that's why we don't buy DJI drones in the United States anymore, because China can track and scope all the camera output from all of their drones. All the time. Or from
your phone with TikTok, or
Yes, same thing with TikTok on your phone. They can turn your camera and your mic on anytime they want. You've signed off on it on the TOS, whether you like it or not. If you have TikTok, your phone can now spy on you for the Chinese government. Period. End of story. Get it off your phone. But that said, if you're worried about any of that,
I had it for a bit, and I got the hell off the phone because
if you're going to do it,
a couple viral videos, my friend, it's not worth it.
Right. And the money, and again, that goes to that sort of like backfilled money, like the Chinese government subsidizes the money that people make on TikTok to make it look like a profitable outlet, and it isn't. So that's another thing. But Rivian itself was near collapse, and the best thing that ever happened to Rivian was Elon Musk's ketamine use. Quite frankly, like it literally, like his joining Trump and becoming a Nazi dickhead, or letting people know he's one already, depending on your opinion, is the single thing that helped Rivian back to being a healthy company, almost overnight, within like
I want to
say
being
60 days.
Team.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being that marketing team, Hal, and you're sitting there and it probably seems a little bit like a wake, you're sitting there, you're drinking Old E from the bottle. You're like, this sucks. Like our product is so much better than that ketamine fueled idiot. And then he signs on with Trump and starts publicly behaving in a way that is vicious, weird, over the top, drugged out, all the various ways over the last 2 to 3 years, he's completely discredited himself. He's sharing conspiracy-addled memes that are anti-Semitic, that are racist, that are this and that on Twitter, which he also destroys, takes that company and just destroys the value of. And by the time all is said and done, the people at Rivian, were probably high-fiving, drinking champagne, they're like, this is a gift. This man has given us a gift.
Right. And the same thing you could argue is true of European manufacturing across borders in the EU, because there was another thing where they were relying on goods from certain countries. And because they were bounced through the United States, even though they were made in China, they are American, companies making a profit off them. They could just circumvent that entirely and basically IKEA all the stuff, make their own versions of these things. And the one thing about Chinese or Indian manufacturing is it's all the same stuff. They just slap a different label on it, and it goes from being a LG to a Vizio television. It's just a matter of software. And so if you're picking those designs, that's where German or French televisions suddenly start coming onto the market, when they're just made that way with modifications just for the culture or color tones or whatever that you would sell in that particular area. And that's the other thing where Trump just does not understand that the rest of the world doesn't need him. I mean, look at Bloomberg right here. This is the top of Bloomberg. Like, this EU warns it could accelerate retaliatory tariffs over U.S. duty. So this is the thing that's coming up. But taco trade is the new
taco. That's such a great nickname.
It's so good.
I mean,
and it's just the fact that it started amongst the rich people that he and the Wall Street folks that he allegedly respects or fears, depending on how you look at it.
Well, that obviously hurts. That hurts the most is that a lot of these Wall Street traders and investors were like,
"No, he's a joke."
No, that and I never came up with a cool acronym, but I kept saying from the beginning, one thing this person has proven is he's not a serious person. Besides many other things, he's whimsical. He gets in a dominant mood. He wakes up pissed off in the morning. I want to dominate China today, or I want to dominate Denmark. So I'm going to take over Greenland, or I want to. And he did that with all these tariffs. But because of reality, he's going to pull back on them. So it really was a matter. I didn't even say like, hey, I'm going to make sure whatever companies fall, I invest heavily in. Which wouldn't have been a terrible strategy, but if it had not worked out, my wife would probably kill me. But it was more just, I'm not gonna take seriously any of his pronouncements because I know what's gonna happen. And these folks were the same. They didn't take any of it seriously. They know he's a chicken. They know he's a coward, and they know he would back out. And so they just sat there when a stock would fall because he'd announce these things, and they'd get into it immediately because they knew he was going to chicken out.
Yeah. So one of the things that came up was this: not only is he going to chicken out, because once the people around him are like, you will wreck everything if you keep doing this. Like, eventually he bends on it. It takes him a while. Usually you have to move Navarro out of the room, or Besson has to get him cornered and, punch Elon Musk in the eye to get him out of the room. Because that
was Besson.
Well, Besson shoved him, right? They had a shoving match.
That's what I'm saying. I don't believe it was his 5-year-old. I think Besson decked him.
Yeah, well, the other one is that it was Stephen Miller over Musk running off with cucking his wife in the Oval or whatever, right? That was the end of
I mean, come on. Can Stephen Miller, look at that little
Yeah.
I mean, can you think he could throw a punch? I don't have a lot of faith in. I think if he punched you and he did hit you in the eye, it might look better afterward. Is what I'm saying.
That's true. It might.
That's the weakness.
Yeah. I think it would just be hilarious. That said, we've got the big ruling last week, and that will stand in the SCOTUS because it's clear in the Constitution, is that the Congress lays tariffs and duties, and only in an emergency under the 1977 Emergency Act can you do anything like this. And there's nothing even close to this. Like this, everything ain't COVID. And one of the things about Trump's thing about even the border, one of the reasons why he was able to have the best border we've ever had, the reason they had that was because we had COVID, because he was able to effectively shut it down using emergency powers.
Himself, not that people weren't crossing borders, they weren't doing anything.
Right, and he didn't have to budget for it, because he could use emergency powers money to do it. He could circumvent Congress to pay for the people down there and the building of the wall and the extra facilities and the turning people away and the reason behind. He could pay for that out of emergency funds. He's doing the exact same thing to try and justify the tariffs. The problem is having a trade deficit is not an emergency.
It's like, dude, have you ever looked at Ronald Reagan? I mean, to use that as a justification, I would be like, I got news for you, pal. I guess we've been in a state of emergency for about 50 years now. So, good try and all. But I think we're thinking more like Ebola, pandemic, massive natural disaster, or war would be the kind of thing to justify that.
Exactly. And the irony is that if you're shifting from if you're shifting from tariffs to taxes, from taxes to tariffs to pay for your country, what you do is you leave your country more susceptible to a blockade in the case of there being a war. If all trade ships stop and you run your country on tariffs dry up in a COVID situation entirely. You can arguably still make income and have your own internal industries, but if you're relying on tariffs to pay for all the stuff in the government, an embargo or a pandemic or a worldwide war or something that slows or stops shipping, or even a trade war like this, which would slow down, nobody has to ship to us. Nobody has to sell us stuff if they don't want to. If you want reciprocal trades, all they have to go is, okay, we'll just stop buying from you and we'll buy from someplace else.
Right.
And that shift might take a while.
Just for the messaging of it, so people know to repeat it, constantly. Because again, there's good alliteration. It's just the Trump tariff tax is what you should call it.
Yeah.
He's hitting you with the Trump tariff tax. It is a tax. It is what he's drilling you with, and he's doing it just because he feels like it. So when your life's destroyed and your farm fails and your 401k is gone and all that, it's because of the Trump tariff tax.
Yeah. So this is my favorite part of this overall story about the taco word, was the acronym, which stands for Trump Always Chickens Out, was coined by a Financial Times columnist and has since been adopted by traders attempting to navigate the dozens of changes of tariff policy Trump has announced over the early months of his presidency. In the most recent case, stocks tumbled Friday after Trump threatened to impose 50% tariffs on European goods beginning June 1st, only to rally after he agreed to delay the levies more than a month to allow for negotiations. That's the July 9th business. But this, at the same time, as I was just showing you where was it here? The DHS, this one. It's back on the other one. The trade tariffs being deemed illegal changes the entirety of the equation too, because it doesn't matter if he chickens out at some point. What he's doing is obviously illegal, and so they'll be rescinded. So if you just hang in there. And again, who pays back these tariffs?
And remember,
the government is going to have to refund. If they're found illegal, the government is going to have to. Oh, did I? I don't think so. Hello, check. I think you're okay. You froze for a second.
Hello.
Might take a bounce. There you go. I hear you, but you froze for a moment.
I'm still here.
I believe you.
I look pretty cool with my hat halfway off in that thing.
It's good. It's cockeyed. It might take a second to catch up. There you go. You're starting to move again. Oh, it blinked, and you just decided to come and go. So what I was trying to say, kids, and I think Cliff will clear. There he is. We'll bring him back in. Bink. And there he is again. Excellent.
Right, I just did the old reboot.
Yeah, absolutely. Just throw the switch. That
seemed to work. Sorry, I don't know which end that was on. If that was mine, I apologize.
It's the interwebs. Don't ever judge it. We blame it on the deep state here. But the
point
I was
of two.
Yes. The point I was trying to make in terms of the European trading partners, and the fact that they're illegal, at some point, somebody's going to have to pay. If you paid tariffs on stuff because he made them, so that if you need to do business, you had to pay these tariffs. The people in the United States, the companies that buy them, the people that buy them have to pay those tariffs, and therefore, are they due a refund? If they're found illegal,
I was going to say, if they're illegal, I think they have
with
to be
interest.
You've had money, right? You've had money that has been, find whatever technical term you want, but has been torn away from you that you weren't supposed to have to pay. That is not the way economies are supposed to work. And if there is an actual rule of law, and again, good for people to know that this was a 3-0 decision by this International Trade Court, as it's called, the one in Manhattan. A guy considered one of the leading scholars on this. I don't know how to pronounce his name, Reif, whatever, who Trump appointed. You should know. It was the lead guy in saying this is a bunch of crap. So of course, when they do their usual thing, Trump and Caroline, and they start yelling about, well, judges can't judge. I mean, they already look stupid enough. It's Caroline Leavitt. I mean, granted, it's very hard when you're taking care of your elderly husband every day for many hours. I mean, she has to help him, and that tires her out. There's no insult I won't toss at her. I can't stand her. But you know what? But in between that, and she's lying about stuff like that. Yeah, your liberal judges, it's a 3-0 decision. One of them is a conservative Republican. Trump appointed him, and he's considered one of the foremost experts on trade. You lose.
Yeah, that's it. And again, that's not how this works. Is the new game show? It's going to be the hottest thing on the internet very, very soon.
Can we do that as like a segment when I come on Mondays?
Absolutely, yeah. You'll welcome Cliff Schechter, our returning opponent. This would be like one of the celebrity people like on Match Game or something, What's My Line, and you'll be we'll play her. She's the contestant, and you're the judge, right?
We're coming. Let me have like a little bit of free reign, and
this idea is coming together.
I'm obnoxious enough, and that I won't get you tossed off of your show. That I'll know not to go, too far, but I think I can. That would be a lot of fun, Hal.
Yes, I insist. So, the one thing I want to point out too is that they came in with big dreams, as they often do. The Trump and his crowd,
like a great movie. They came in with big dreams.
Yeah. In a world where facts aren't facts and truth isn't truth. Truth isn't truth.
In a world
one man
where we're all more threatened by who's using a bathroom than by whether we can feed our children.
Yes. A man sits alone in a bathroom tweeting truths to a world not ready for them. Yeah. So there was this period where the Doge kids thought, I guess that Musk knew what he was doing. They were going to wipe out. It was going to be easy, man. If you I want to go back and see revisit the pitch on Doge from the rallies. I'm going to do that in my afternoon show coming up. We're going to replay.
What happens to these little twerps? Because I do think they were college kids. They were over the age of 18. So any laws they broke, they should be held liable as adults.
Absolutely.
And again, we're eventually going to get there, unless we do become a full-blown fascist state. If we're eventually going to get to a point where when we start looking at these things and enforcing rules and laws and the rule of law, they broke the law. They did not have anything close to permission and clearance or anything else to break into the Treasury Department and steal our data. Which
I think you're
harvesting as we speak.
Sorry. Okay. The net environment is very fall. Thank you. No. Andrea just sent me a message about from Jody. Is she, because she's coming on, right? Or she was asking about something. Well, I will. Okay. So
Jody coming on
at some point. Yes, we're going to get her in.
Jody's awesome. I was on Jody's show on Friday. Everybody should watch. Their new podcast. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So one of the things, yes, what they're doing is illegal. Yes, it's wrong. Yes, it's a violation of every norm, whatever. But I would like to remind everyone, it also just sucks. It just doesn't work. It's beyond the issue of whether or not, right? It has almost nothing to do with how illegal it was. It's ineffective and stupid. So this is Yeah.
So ineffective. I have to double down on it. So ineffective and so stupid and so sort of representative of the conservative mindset right now. Not always center right conservatives who in the past understood that government played a role. They wanted it to be more market forces and less government than Democrats or liberals, but understood there was a role to be played. These jerk offs who just want to cut everything and not, and not allow the government to do anything, think somehow that will save us money. And again, it's like this stuff isn't hard. Look at a study of why Obamacare was successful, even though they've tried to hobble it every way they can, from the Supreme Court being who they are and getting rid of the individual mandate ridiculously, and that kind of stuff, which was, if you use preventative medicine when somebody, and you say you can go for free when they're not feeling great, then they don't end up in the emergency room when they're completely,
you save money down the line,
messed up. You save money. It's the same principle internationally with USAID. So this group of incel schmucks went in and got rid of a lot of those kinds of jobs. So now we're only going to see those later results. And as we know now, it looks like they may have actually added 2 billion or whatever the number is, something like that, to the overall deficit. They failed. They made it more expensive, just as Donald Trump is doing with everything he's doing, like his budget. So if they pass that, which I'm concerned the Senate is just stupid enough to pass.
Yeah. So this is the process. This is what Doge got, the efficiency guys. There was somewhere in the world last month, a State Department employee began the routine process of hiring a vendor for an upcoming embassy event, but quickly ran into a problem. The vendor was refusing, as they have the free speech right to do, refusing to sign paperwork certifying that it did not promote diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, a new requirement under Trump's executive order eradicating DEI from the government. The state employee, who spoke on the condition of anonymity, that neither he nor the location of the embassy be named for fear of retaliation, sighed. Then he got busy. The workaround, he knew, would take time. First, he got his ambassador's signed approval to hire the vendor anyway. Next, he filled out an Office 365 form justifying the expense in 250 words before selecting which pillar of necessary spending it fell under, choosing from the options including safer, stronger, more prosperous. Why? This thing that you're doing must make the country safer, stronger, or more prosperous because you checked it off on a list. After submitting that,
as long as you check it off, it's all good, as we know.
Yeah, he filled out yet another form, this one destined for a political appointee back in Washington. A week later, the vendor was secured. Under any previous administration, it would have taken 1 day.
I'd like to remind everybody also that of basic economic principles. Time is money. If you've got people, it's loss of productivity because you have people working on things when they could be doing other things. And the kinds of things that always reminds me, again, to go back to, it's funny, I used the healthcare example before. One of the things that always makes our healthcare so expensive, because we don't have a public option to compete and make them have to be better, for example, is that they create mounds of paperwork over stupid shit because they don't care.
Right.
Because nobody's there to say, because they can just be like, well, now we're just going to raise the prices. And
why not?
You'll pay for that. And that's what you get when you get people like this who have no accountability.
That's right. And inefficiencies like this that are added on, layers of bureaucracy and paper, is not only what Republicans have been railing against forever. Last time I checked, this was the thing, like the bureaucrats, the unelected people adding rules to make your job when you could just do it quicker and get it over with, and it would be great. There's always some government employee getting in the way and gumming up the works. And that was exactly what they were complaining about for years. And now that's exactly what they're doing. The team's overarching goal was in its name. DOGE stands for Department of Government Efficiency, although it is not part of the cabinet. But as Musk departed government on Friday, many federal workers said DOGE has in many ways had the opposite effect. It is more bureaucracy, more red tape, more expense, more time, which of course Cliff pointed out is money. And it comes as no surprise to anyone.
Right. I mean, Musk himself in that Oval Office meeting, again, coming in his idiotic uniform, especially with the punch to the face too, which of course I didn't see Marjorie Taylor Greene's 14th boyfriend she cheated on her husband with, who's a fake reporter there, screaming at Elon Musk about how he wasn't dressed nicely enough for the White House like he did with Zelensky. And I didn't see all of Fox News doing it. Apparently, it's always okay for Elon Musk to come dressed like that. But I digress. The rest of what he had, the substance of what he actually had to say, I believe he used the banality, which of course ironic considering he's a Nazi. The banality of evil line, the banality of bureaucracy, and you're just like, that's you, idiot. You came in, you are unelected. Not one of us voted for you. All right. And you weren't even appointed to a real committee because the Senate does that. But you and your fake committee, you brought in a bunch of 19-year-olds who, again, who have no qualifications to do any of this stuff. You screwed everything up. You made things take longer. You wasted time. You wasted paperwork. You wasted money. You fired people we needed. Hey, where are the guys who are tracking Ebola go? Who knows? Where are the guys who are tracking nukes go? Who knows? Hey, it seems like there are more planes crashing at Newark. Maybe we shouldn't have fired all the FAA folks and all the other idiotic, I'm sorry, I think I can curse in there, dumb fuck things these guys did to completely screw our government that we are going to now have to unfuck ourselves from. And the cherry on the sundae is it all cost us actually more money to screw it all up with this.
Right. Yeah. Well, on top of the fact that it's ineffective at what it was allegedly supposed to do in the first place, it's actually contributed to that circumstance becoming worse. And this is, of course, the shot people are using of Musk like rolling on ketamine and MDMA or whatever at his White House goodbye.
He didn't bring his Lego set to sit there and go
that business, that whole business was the dead giveaway in this regard, while he's trying to ignore what's being said. And I would say that beyond the fact that he's on drugs, he's sitting there listening to Trump talk about him, and you have to understand what he's reacting to in his stupor is the fact that he knows what Trump is saying is bullshit.
Yep.
Right.
Because normally, if you're in a room somewhere, and I'm sure you've been there, Hal, and I've been there, if we're lucky enough to ever get anything right in our lives, and somebody is saying kind things about you in front of a group of people, the normal reaction is not to go,
yeah.
It's to nod your head, smile, thank them, sort of maybe even whisper a thank you.
A down head shake, like, oh, no, that's very sweet, but, you're very nice, but no, I'm just doing my job.
Hal,
right.
Like, not the way cyborgs interact. The way humans interact. We smile, we're engaging, we look at each other, we're like, thank each other. Right. He knows that none of the, it's one of a couple things, it's probably all combined. A, he knows none of it's true, and deep down, that's that emptiness in his soul. He's trying to pretend he did something. B, he's probably out of his mind on ketamine. Probably. And C, somewhere deep down, he's also realizing that the only thing that's propped him up for all these years, Tesla, at some point, it's rebounded for now, but you better have friends willing to waste lots of money keeping that stock price up, because eventually when it does fall, as Rivian gets more purchases, as other car companies that have created electric vehicles do, and as they crash further and further and further, somewhere around 120, some experts have said, on that stock price, there's a margin call coming. And when that happens, because of how he purchased Twitter, he's going to go bankrupt. And I'm going to sit there and enjoy every damn minute of it. So
right. And the whole this business of just being high as fuck just to deal in a situation where life is handed to you on a silver platter also adds sort of a disgusting element to it. I think our society is full of situations where we have mocked celebrities and artists for being snowflakes about their lives, or wanting to be treated like divas or queens or kings, whatever. And somehow the tech sector dodges a bit of that. Like Zuckerberg has got some shit about it.
That
mystique of intelligence
that you have in politics that wanted to create heroes, wanted to have individual stories to write, like they did in Washington. Like there are these gods, among us who are doing these incredible things, because that's a great story to write that people want to read. The problem is when it's completely full of crap, it misleads people. They buy these crappy, shoddy products from horrible people. And in the end, they are the ones who built this guy up. I mean, you said he got his money on a silver platter, which is a nice way of saying it. It was more like he got it on an apartheid-owned pile of coal, or or in the end, it was the ruby mines or whatever they were that his money came from, and his family was able to make all of that money the way certain whites were in Jim Crow South, because they didn't have any competition. because he was in, and then he gets left the apartheid money. And anybody who knows the true story, look, I hate Peter Thiel as much as I hate any of the rest of them. But at least being objectively honest, Peter Thiel was the ideas guy behind PayPal.
That's
Elon
right.
Musk was the guy that just showed up with apartheid money and got himself
Same thing he did with Tesla.
In it.
Same thing with Tesla.
And well, because he parlayed that into that. He walked away from, by putting his apartheid money into PayPal, he was given credit for coding and things that he actually sucked at. He was given credit for being a part of the solution, which he wasn't. And then he walked away with when it was purchased for with 175 million, and was able to use that to plow that money into Tesla and buy away from people who had the actual idea, which was not his, and use it to leverage getting government subsidies. And so it all becomes fruit of the poison tree, as they say in legal circles.
Agreed.
Which is, this guy started with money handed to him from a Jim Crow society, and is just as every bit as much as an evil, awful, and yes, stupid person as Donald Trump, who's found a way to thrive because of a sycophantic media. Because in our society, if you have no shame and you're bold enough and obnoxious enough, you can do almost anything.
Yeah, so this is the shot of his black eye that made the rounds. And let me tell you a little story real quick about my son.
Yeah.
My son just turned 14 on Thursday, and I couldn't be prouder. He's a great kid and a great soul, and very conscientious young man and all this stuff. But when he was a little kid, he was a little boy. And one time we were in Salt Lake City. I was in Salt Lake City for a show, and he was with me, and my mom was with me, and she was watching him during the show and that kind of thing. And he was playing with a stick in a park, and I was worried he was going to hurt himself, so I went over, give me that stick or whatever, like, let me have that or whatever. And right as I walked over, just right, the timing could not have been more perfect. He went, nah, like that, and it went, book, right in my eye, and scratched my cornea, like scratched my eyeball on the outside. And my vision suddenly went blurry, and then I was like, that's not good. I literally... This is bad, right? This is hospital situation.
That's not good. But you could look like a pirate if you put on a cool patch. So there's that.
Well, I did temporarily. Never pass up an opportunity to wear a patch if you're a dude, I think, if you have to.
No.
But as long as it's not
sometimes even both eyes are working fine, I put one on.
Yeah, it's almost like unless it's the cotton one held on by tape that makes you look like an abused elder. But anyways, so I had to go treat at the hospital. But anyways, it was a simple story that a lot of parents can relate to, that when you're trying to keep your kid from harming themselves, you can get harmed in the process trying to dismantle that bomb, right? And
I almost broke a few fingers with some lightsaber battles, let's just say, when my kids
Yeah, exactly. So. It's really simple stuff when you're just playing. So this bullshit story he made up, like he just asked his kid if he wants to take a shot at him, and he did, and, you want to punch me or something, is not only a lie, it's terrible story at the expense of your child, and an example that would be used in court of what a shit parent you are.
Yes. But isn't it such a reminder of like, again, I from when I started really seeing what this guy was about and who he was, I right away was just like, he is Trump, and people aren't getting that.
Yes.
Yet,
it's all flim flam. It's all a show. Right.
All flim flam, the same anger issues and resentment issues that started coming out on Twitter for every other minority group, because it must be all of their faults that he hates himself so much. The same kind of the way Donald Trump's dad made his money by what? Building housing for whites only, marking a C on there for colored, so they wouldn't let people in. Same racist origin story of how the families made money. Same, larger than life profiles by all these idiot reporters that weren't accurate. And he's the same damn story. And everybody's like, yeah, but he's still worth all this money, and Trump, isn't, whatever, because Trump. I'm like, wait. He has gotten himself into the same stupid trouble by leveraging all of that Tesla stock and now insulting everybody. And now that stock's going to fall, and he's going to have nothing to cover Twitter, and he's going to be bankrupt like Trump. Just give it a year or two. He'll get there.
And the crypto is going to collapse at the same time, because they are lighting the fuse on their own bomb, because quantum computers and AI will be able to crack crypto wallets, and all the people who are like, gold is the way to go, I told you so. I've got the lovely and talented Tara Dublin, star of the Tara Show, TNT, the dynamite, waiting in the wings. But I want to remind everybody to thank you. Yes, subscribe to Cliff Schecter's Substack at Cliff's Edge. On there, should be easy to find.
Yeah, you got it right up there, and you can even get there easily by just typing in blueamp.co, no M at the end, because we're cooler than that. We're blueamp.co, or maybe because the other thing was taken. But either way, Join us.
.co will take it as Substack. If you're on Substack, subscribe to his and mine and to our dear friend Tara Dublin, who will be jumping in with us in just one moment to talk about her experiences in Portland, #Rip Portland, surrounded by ketamine addicts, and maybe she's got special insight. We will find out. But give us a second. Hold on. Wait, let me bring that in. And thanks so much, Cliff, for joining us today. And please come back sooner rather than later. Hopefully we can have you on next week. Let's do it, man.
We both have crazy schedules, so we're each like this week, and then one of us can't do it. Never seems like we're on the same schedule where we both can't, just one of us. So it's been like a month or 5 weeks, but yes,
busy, man. We got jobs to do. Yeah. Awesome.
I love talking to you. So this has been a pleasure. So
more of that. Absolutely. All right. Talk to you later. There he goes, ladies and gentlemen. There's the chat room. Hi, chat room. I'm going to bring in Tara in just 1 second as I swap out the solo her in there, and then we'll bring her in, and it should work just fine. You like the new background? I made this one. Don't get me started. There's all sorts of look, the Venmo is there on a little screen. This is what happens when I'm on a car ride and I have internet and a laptop in my lap because my girlfriend was driving. I was like, okay, I will get work done. Tackety, tackety, tack. So let's bring in our dear, wonderful Tara Dublin, who indeed does rock, beaming into the bunker. Hi.
Hi. I also once got a scratched cornea from a child of mine. So I wanted to add to that conversation. When my older son, Jack, was a baby, and I want to say 7 or 8 months, because he was already, crawling and could sit up and hold his head up and all of that stuff. Maybe 6 to 8 months, somewhere around there. And I was just home with him, as a stay-at-home mom would be, and carrying him from one room to the next. And his little hands are just going, and one went right in my little finger, just went in this eye.
The nail.
I think I was turning to kiss him on the face because I could never get enough of my children, and you want to just inhale them at all times.
Yes.
And their head smells delicious, and
it's
everything
wonderful.
about it. You put their feet in your mouth, and you want to eat your baby is how much you're in love with your baby.
Great. Now we've got the Democrat baby eating cabal thing on us again, and here I am in a basement.
That's right. Damn it to hell. But not physically, not with teeth. You just kind of go, because you love them so much. Anyway, I was probably turning to tell him, Mommy loves you so much. And Jack went, poke.
Yeah.
And I used to be married to an emergency medicine physician. And so I was just, I was like, oh, wow, ow. And this has never happened to me before. So I went straight to his emergency department, where they did drops and put the elder abuse care thing over my eye.
Yeah.
And I had to wear that for a couple of days. And I was living in Southwest Georgia at the time. So everybody who saw me was like, oh my goodness, what happened? Bless your heart. And I was like, kid, baby fingernail, boop, and that's really, like you said, any parent can relate to a child-related injury. It just happens when you least expect it. You will bump your head on something, or, you're on the floor with them and your leverage is higher than theirs, and you think that you can get as low as they can, and no, you can't. And so you bump your head or you scratch your finger, something always happens. But never one time did I ever say to either of my children, just punch me in the face. Just go for it.
Request some abuse.
No, we don't do fight. No, you don't do Fight Club with a 4-year-old. That's not a thing. He's so cooked on ketamine. He is so cooked. Do not tell me you're not on drugs. When you're in the Oval Office and you're like,
well, he is. That was.
Every shot of him.
That was the story. Okay, so the New York Times article that came out, I'm sure you saw it as well. Not only went into all of the drugs he was doing. Let's move this over here.
It just bothers me that they always call them Mr. He doesn't deserve any sort of respectful salutation or descriptor. That's just me. But anyway, continue. That's just what the New York Times does.
And the news has to do that. Let's just let him do that. You got to have some level of comedy. Because as much as I think the British way of doing, governing is adorable and cute from a distance, the idea that every time you say something, people are going, yeah, but no, shame, is such a fucking, like, simmer down. Let everybody have their turn to talk.
Right.
This is annoying.
Right.
And so I don't want.
And by the way, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it was just like Cliff was saying towards the end. And it's just like he is just like Trump. And he's the South African Trump. And I've been saying this ever since he showed up to buy Twitter. And I'm like, oh crap, like he's just everything he touches. It's instead of ETTD, it's EETD because he's born on between third base and home already, and then enabled by terrible parents who technically didn't really love him very much or teach him how to be a good human, and then found comfort elsewhere
Musk's
in drugs.
I don't know. His dad was like one of these challenging dads or whatever. But I mean, the idea is that she
was traveling the world modeling when he was a child. So I don't think she was around very much when he was little.
There.
And wasn't there like some custody? There was a custody thing between his mom and his dad or something. And he ended up with his dad for a while, I think.
You could be describing me for the record. And
I mean,
right?
but you didn't fall into a K-hole to cope.
No,
so
I didn't because
something about
at a certain point you're an adult responsible for your behaviors. And this is the article, the New York Times thing. He goes, he was also using drugs more intensely than previously known, according to people familiar with his activities. Mr. Musk's, there you go, drug consumption went well beyond occasional use. He told people he was taking so much ketamine that was a powerful anesthetic that it was affecting his bladder, a known effect of chronic use, meaning that he pissed himself or that he had trouble urinating at certain times. He took ecstasy and psychedelic mushrooms, and he traveled with a daily medication box. Yes, a daily medication box that held about 20 pills, including ones with markings of the stimulant Adderall, which, again, it's important that they say with markings of, because it could very well have been fentanyl, for all we know. According to a photo of the box and people who have seen it. So the New York Times saw a picture.
So he had like a Whitman sampler of drugs with like a map guide. He
had one of those like grandma's pills.
The round one is the salted caramel. Instead, it says, this one is an Adderall, this one is meth, this one is fentanyl, this one is ketamine.
It seems like he had one of those like plastic drug trays that you use for taking your vitamins over the day, Monday through Saturday.
Instead of Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
It was like MDMA for Monday. Tuesday, tranquilizers Tuesday. Wednesday was wow. So it was just like the mushrooms, and psychedelics and whatever. And then he would just pick from each.
Yeah, no, that's nutty.
And one of the things that he was, apparently he was using these things. You can be prescribed. He's like, I really don't like doing illegal drugs, which is stupid because using them off market even if you're prescribed them, if you go doctor shopping and they give you a drug that you don't need and you're using it for recreational is illegal, right? So,
here's something. When it says, I really don't like doing illegal drugs, what's the subtext there is, but I will.
Right, yeah.
So if I can't get them legally, I will obtain them illegally. I just want to be fucked up all the time. I don't want to live in the reality I used
to Mitch Hedberg's old line, I used to do drugs. I still do, but I used to too. Right? That's basically what we're talking about. And so Elon has pushed the boundaries of his bad behavior more and more. Philip Lowe, a neuroscientist and one-time friend of Musk's, who criticized him for his Nazi gesture, and the women around him, Claire Butcher, Grimes, is fighting for custody of X, which is why X is always with him.
Right.
He's very attached to the boy. He says, I don't know. He's using him as a prop, whatever.
And his boogers. Yeah, no.
Right.
Well, because no one's going to shoot him if he has a toddler on his shoulders. He can't be assassinated if there's a. It's the Greg Stinson way of life. It's just if I have a child with me at all times, no one can assassinate me because he's a paranoid drug addict.
Exactly. Like, Stinson's the guy from the Dead Zone. Nicely done. Stilson, I think. Much. Stilson. Yeah, Stilson is the guy from Dead Zone. But that's right. The appearance apparently of bringing X violates their custody order, which almost all of them have with him at his insistence. So they're not allowed to go out and be seen in public with their own children, but he can use them as props if he wants to. Like, Jesus Christ. Like,
That's I mean, this is he's so corrupt and so cooked and so far beyond what normal people are, right? And everyone's like, "But he's a genius." No, he fucking isn't. He's not a genius. He's just like Trump in that he is a dumb person's idea of what a genius should be, because he has money and he bought companies that do technological things that your average layperson can't comprehend. He can't comprehend them either. His rockets keep blowing up and his cars keep killing people. So
this is
they
the
keep
other part
driving
of it.
into lakes and exploding, and they're shitty and ugly, and everyone at Tesla is mad at him because of the way he's compromised the company, and his rockets keep exploding, and nobody wants him in the government, and he's running home to his mom's basement where he can live in the K-hole of his own creation. That's fine. Go away then. Go away, sell Twitter to Mark Cuban so we can all enjoy it again. I don't, like I've been trying to get Mark Cuban to buy Twitter forever. And listening to Cliff say that he's going to end up divesting himself of Twitter because he's going to go bankrupt if he doesn't. Where's Mark Cuban? And you know who else would be good on this? Mackenzie Bezos, Jeff Bezos's ex-wife, who does good things with her billions of dollars. We got her and Mark Cuban and good billionaires, even Bill Gates, who does good things with his money. And they put together a little package and said, "Go away, Elon. Here's some money to go away, and we can make Twitter come back." Just go and do that, because that is one step towards getting more truth into the world.
The problem is they don't just buy out Musk, because understand too, though, his money that's leveraged in that is basically the Tesla stock. That's where he's going to get creamed if it collapses, when it collapses. But his other buyers in it, namely the Saudis, don't have to lose money on it. They use it as a propaganda machine and to undermine the social cohesion of the United States. And I would also argue that there's probably some Chinese money in there as well, bumpered through some other groups, because the Tide group's in there. And then, of course, Sean P. Diddy Combs is a major investor as well in it, and he doesn't have to lose. I mean, he doesn't have to make money on it, certainly in his circumstance. I don't know, whatever. Because it will, he could count on Musk to try to soften the blow. I mean, you could argue that that's how it got across Trump's desk that he might need a pardon and Trump was thinking about pardoning him. So, and why wouldn't he? He's a sex
pardoning
trafficker.
Everybody.
Yeah.
He's pardoning everybody who has $1 million.
Yes, he's selling pardons.
He doesn't even know. He doesn't even know who the real estate people with the weird plastic surgeries. Chrisley? Yeah. It's Chrisley, right?
Yeah.
He didn't know who they were. He had no idea who they were. Said on camera, "I don't know who they are." But someone gave him money and he was like, "Okay."
Well, the other thing about the Chrisleys is they are guilty directly of their daughter. They themselves were guilty of and were sentenced to time for exactly what Trump was accused of doing with his properties. It's the exact same crime, and they had fewer felonies around it. The fact that they went to jail and he didn't, part of the reason why he's letting them out is because he doesn't think he should go to jail for what he did, and he's protecting himself in the future by setting precedent that people have been pardoned for this, and his lawyers can make that argument. Here's the thing that that stands out more to me in the New York Times thing than the amount of drugs that he uses, because we have seen maintenance addicts of all sorts make their way through industry and entertainment for years without anybody knowing until the collapse came and blah, blah, blah. Or maybe even when it didn't, right? But one of the things of this story that really stuck out to me was this paragraph. He plays video games for hours on end. He struggles with binge eating, according to people familiar with his habits, and takes weight loss medication. And he posts day and night on his social media platform X. That is the behavior and habits of a money guy, not a CEO. That's what VC investors who are sitting on their parents' money do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but no one has ever made him perform at 100%. No one has ever put expectations where here is something that you have to meet. Like George W. Bush was a steady C+ student. No one ever made him try to do better. Nobody who is rich is ever expected to rise above because they're already there. They don't think that they have to be a better person. They don't have to rise.
All they got to do is crab bucket everybody else.
improve.
Make sure that other people can't climb out and compete with them. That's why they undermine education.
Exactly,
that's why they undermine
exactly. As long
people's
as I still
chance
have
at an economic viability. Right.
Right. But what this article doesn't say is that he pays other people to play video games for him so he can win tournaments.
Yeah, right.
Because he's not good at playing video games because he's on drugs.
Yeah.
And he doesn't sleep.
Right.
Which is right. And so
also,
and this is also part of it. If all of these things, like if he's taking weight loss medication, that's speedy, and then he has to take Ambien to go to sleep at night.
Right.
So that's fucking with his circadian rhythms. You're not sleeping. All you eat are drugs, and all you do is look at screens. His brain is so fried. There's nothing in there. It's like a hamster on a wheel that has like 3 spokes left in it. That's all. It's like, squeaking it. And and nobody loves him enough to get him the help that he needs. Same as Trump. No one's going to intervene. No one's going to step to him and be like, dude, I really love you and I care about you and I'm watching you do this to yourself. Nobody's going to, you're not going to see him on intervention. Nobody cares. He just did an interview where somebody asked him about, the government spending. And he was like, no, I'm just here to talk about space rockets. If we're not talking about the rockets, I'm leaving. And he walked out of an interview because he was asked about this article. And he was like, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm going to, he's so cooked. He's so cooked.
Well, and the difference,
the line between medical use and recreation was blurry. He doesn't have any medical. I mean, has he ever been diagnosed that we know of with anything, or is he's just self-medicating?
He says he has.
Who prescribed him any of it?
He says he has a prescription for ketamine, and he's talked about it online several times. And by the way, in San Francisco, Silicon Valley, and it is very easy to get like a prescription, not only for that kind of stuff, but to like microdose LSD and other stuff. You can find doctors that will prescribe those things. Yeah. So, but he goes, he's like, I don't do too much. I do it every couple of weeks. And he actually had developed a far more serious habit the Times found. Mr. Musk had been using ketamine often, sometimes daily, and mixing it with other drugs, according to people familiar with his consumption. The line between medical use and recreational was blurry, troubling some people close to him. He also took ecstasy and psychedelic mushrooms at private gatherings across the United States and at least one other country, according to those who attended the events. Now, that I got to say, like that kind of stuff, you do you, boo. I'm never going to do drugs. I have no interest in doing it. And again, I think it's unhealthy, but I know people who do it and they're fine. There's a lot, there's like a parallel between me as a teetotaler and assholes like Joe Rogan who think that if you don't do drugs, you're not a whole person. And that's just bullshit.
Well,
but in between, there's a lot of gray area.
What you decide to do. Yes, there is. And first of all, I want to apologize for my pixelation. They are doing extensive construction here, and I have a ticket into Verizon to find out why my internet is always wonky. But hopefully what they're doing out there is going to make things a little bit more streamlined. But first of all, I am a person who has only, in the last couple of years, I have done 2 or 3 guided MDMA journeys with a person who is certified to do those. And I have done mushrooms under that with a person here guiding me through a journey.
Sure.
And what MDMA does is that it silences your amygdala for a little bit, and it means you won't have emotional responses to an outside prompt or stressor or traveling into the recesses of your memory to dig up something that's painful. It won't be painful. You're able to look at it pragmatically and go, oh, so when I was 5, this happened, and that's why this happened, and then this happened. Okay, now I know. Now I have my information, and now I can move forward. So if he's doing MD, and it flattened me, by the way. I don't understand how people go to raves on this stuff, because I was flat on my couch with a blindfold on, looking inward and doing, and that it took me a day and a half to recover. So people who do it and go dancing, I don't get that. But one reason why he might be the way if you're abusing it, and you're constantly suppressing the things that make you feel, No wonder he's like that, right? No wonder he doesn't care about humanity, because he's killed his emotional response places.
Mm-hmm.
He's killed and neutralized it, or he's suppressing it, or he's burying it, or he's isolate, he's
Mm-hmm.
icing it out, or what, like he's making sure he can't feel sad or happy or stressed or anything. He just doesn't feel. And people who abuse ecstasy end up just being, they can't get back to who they once were, because they've cooked their emotional, sensory connections in their heads.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying it happens to everybody, but it can if you're abused. I mean, if you abuse any drug, it's going to have a long-term negative effect. And mushrooms are supposed to make you happy, and they're supposed to, maybe you see pretty colors, and maybe it helps you expand your mind a little bit. For me, they make me a little nauseous. I kind of stay away from that. You're making if you're taking a synthetic drug that someone made in a lab, you don't know what's in it. You don't know the components of it. You don't know if it's a trustworthy, combination.
Source.
And so who knows where he's getting his drugs from? There is a point where a doctor's like, I can't write you any more prescriptions. So he's going to go to somebody shady.
He's going to go to the black market. He's doing drugs in gnarly parts of the world with sketchy folks
in public.
Yes. And
in front of people on camera.
Right. And at some point, there's a meltdown that comes from that, where he either doses the wrong thing, gets a bad mix, ends up in the ER if he hasn't already. By the way, it's entirely possible that there have been several episodes where his drug use has led to him, ending up someplace untoward, or, face down someplace over time. But that's the billionaire world, they cover it. Right.
Nope.
But
in the ER.
But at a certain point, if you just want to, wreck the United States or set things back or cause some chaos, doing him in would be an easy way for a malign actor to do it. And if you leave yourself open to that kind of shit, where people they know you're getting drugs and they can hotshot you or do something, add something to it, even if it's, again, it's so easy to accidentally get fentanyl these days in stuff if you don't know the exact source. The laissez-faire attitude that he takes towards it is, I mean, you could argue that like Trump's fight against fentanyl is largely driven by people who want to use other drugs and are afraid to get it, get dosed with it by accident. Like, they're the ones pushing it, not people who care about the deaths caused by it. They don't give a shit if rednecks in Appalachia are dying in a fucking hot car after thinking they took something else and ingesting fentanyl, or even doing it, added to the heroin that they took. They don't care if those people die. They care if rich people like Elon Musk do. If the makers,
right, of course.
They don't care if the people they think are the takers die. They care. They think that we got to protect the makers, and that's when they started to care about it. It's the only time they started to care about it.
Right. Well, until it impacts somebody on their side, they're going to keep doing terrible things, and we've been saying that about, why would you cut Medicare? Why would you cut SNAP? Why would you, because you and I are thinking compassionate humans, thinking that, our government is supposed to take care of its constituents. This government doesn't care about taking care of its constituents. This government cares about lining its own pockets. It does not care. And they've made that abundantly clear, where just today, I don't know if you saw, but the nominee for the Surgeon General does not have a medical license, did not finish her residency, is a Kennedy recommendation. And Trump's like, I don't know her. I don't know her is not the answer you want from the president when he's nominating the person who's going to be in charge of the nation's healthcare.
Right, but that's his out. That's his out.
And this lack of account.
That's always his out.
That is his out. One of them, I don't know her. She came highly recommended. Many people said she was the best, And again, this will also go back to how anybody like that could actually, well, I can't say that, because if they confirmed Kennedy, they'll confirm her. The questioning of her in the Senate should be absolute brutality.
Yeah.
If she gets that far, because again, like, even Republicans should be like, you don't have a medical degree. My whole thing, if I was a Democratic senator in her eventual confirmation hearing, I'd ask my colleagues, well, would you let her perform surgery on you?
Right.
Would you let Robert F.
prescribe you
Kennedy
something.
perform surgery on you, prescribe you anything because neither of them are doctors?
Can I? Well,
it's insanity.
Okay.
What everyone
we operate
is
in such a
here.
If I may, we operate in such a realm of normalcy when talking about this that that an unqualified person with no medical degree or no medical license should not be able to do this job or whatever. Like, yes, on its face, that's obvious. But I'd also like to point out the fact that they used to shit on Democrats and California granola eaters, blah, 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 for all the reasons that they want RFK and this woman in there. So I'm of the mind, the only way to get them broomed out is if we as Democrats start taking it as a win when he starts talking about taking the dyes out of food or whatever. I'm like, yep, it's been a Democratic priority for years. Finally, you guys bent and realized we were right. The irony is that's what will drive him crazy and have him broom these dipshits more than us just pointing out the fact that they're talking shit about autism or vaccines, which he doesn't care about because he's been told either by his doctor or believes it himself that he is somehow immune to illness and that all he needs is monoclonal antibodies and he can survive anything. And right?
No, I don't believe that at all. I believe he's vaccinated against everything.
Right.
Because he's not in an iron lung. He doesn't have measles or lockjaw. He swam in shit and didn't die. Didn't get sick. Nothing.
RFK Jr., yeah.
Obviously got his dip tet. Got his MMR. Got his COVID shot. He's not dead from COVID, and neither is Trump. So they're all vaccinated against everything.
Right.
This is part of the cult mentality of we're trying to cull the herd. We're trying to get rid of the weak so we can build a strong, obedient white army of mega children who will work overnight shifts and be impervious to all diseases.
Or some sort of weird strawberry color.
Because what can we hold the media accountable for not reporting on this crazy Truth Social post where Donald Trump reshared a thing where he said where it says Joe Biden died in 2020 and was replaced by a clone?
Right.
Donald Trump himself shared that.
Right.
That is insanity.
Yes.
There's so many things that you can say about Trump, right? That the media doesn't say. And the fact that they were ageist and talking about Joe Biden's decline for so long. Where are they on? Joe Biden is not a robot. A robot can't get prostate cancer. Let's just go right there, then and there.
Yeah.
A robot wouldn't stutter. So if it was a clone, it would be so perfect that you would be like, wow, Joe Biden he's like amazing. He's like,
but it's a
he's
really
like
good
cyborg.
copy.
Look at him go.
Yeah. Right.
So no, we don't. If we had that technology, don't you think we would be aware that we had that technology by this point? Like the Jetsons didn't lie to us and we could have these things, but we don't have these things. We don't have cloning, maybe for sheep, maybe for mice, not for a functioning human being who could run the government to the point where he lifted up all global economies along with ours. We don't have that technology. And that Donald Trump put that on Truth Social and the media is not talking about it. That's cuckoo bananas stuff. That is, imagine if any Democrat was like, Donald Trump is a robot. I believe this. I believe with all my heart that he's a cyborg robot created in a lab.
I mean,
people would never leave that Democrat alone.
I will say that I think that someone animated a whoopee cushion, and that's what Donald Trump is. I personally come to my belief that he is a smaller than life size Macy's Day balloon that was built for the express purpose of making fart noises. That I'm standing by that. That's my version of Q, and I'm not going to dodge it at all. I'm going to stand by that entirely. Now,
I mean, he is the stuff of nightmares. So
right, but the goal of the Trump. Okay, so right now we're at basically, we're getting near that 130 days mark where Musk was going to leave, and they were going to have at this point $2 trillion / $1 trillion / $500 billion in savings. Easy, because it's all waste, fraud, and abuse. They found so much. It's everywhere. And there's so they're tripping over themselves with all the waste and the fraud and the abuse. Meanwhile, nobody's gone to jail for fraud. Everything that they call waste and abuse is just shit they disagree with, right? And Musk is leaving with his, his droopy, ketamine, shriveled tail between his legs, and leaving behind, I guess, the Doge guys to just flail and do busy work over the next few months until the midterms come and they all go to jail. I mean, honestly, it feels more like he pulled the ripcord and got out early so that he can go, no, I came in there to do a job. What they did after I left is none of my business, and all the crime happened then. Just because I get in there and rearrange the date on what occurred digitally and everything so that I could change when forms were signed and when they weren't. You can get away with that. But I got to say, like...
But this cyborg clone story needs to be a huge story because it's so fucking stupid. And it's just indicative of...
it's very QAnon.
This isn't just a MAGA distraction. Well, yeah, obviously it's really QAnon, but the fact that he shared it on his Truth Social is the story. Like, I don't care what the cult thinks, right? The cult can believe whatever it wants to believe. It'll stick its head in the sand. It'll believe, that Donald Trump was not best friends with Jeffrey Epstein until his death. They will still push all of those. We talked about it last Monday extensively, how they were best friends until he died and he flew around on the repainted Lolita Express, and they don't want to believe that, but they'll believe anybody. They believe that Bill Clinton is behind all of the redacted lines in the new binders. Okay, cuckoos. Okay. But like, you put something like that out there. It's not just a distraction tactic. It's not look over here so you don't pay attention to the Project 2025. That's not real. Yeah. Bottom line, not real, can't be real, ever not real. And the media needs to say, this is something that Donald Trump shared with his base that is 100% not true. We don't have this that just needs to be addressed. Yes, it's stupid. We know it's stupid. But that the media gives him a pass on literally everything is unconscionable, always has been. But at this stage, it's deadly and dangerous.
Right.
And
I mean, everything,
when you're saying what he is, but Joe Biden stuttered because he was old, like, enough. Like, and the Jake Tapper going on Megyn Kelly and going on Fox News because nobody wants to buy his lying Joe Biden crap book, and they're really trying to push that. Like, that's all of this.
Maggots are the only audience for it.
Crazy times,
right? Maggots are the only audience for it. So that's and that's clear. Like, it's weird to I mean, I've been back and forth about whether, like, CNN said, hey, we'll help you with your book deal if you write a book that, like, gets us out of this perception that we have that we were, complicit with Democrats, or he did it and they just gave him the green light and they'll let him promote it or whatever. Like, you have to run any book by your network if you're going to do it in Jake's position. And that might be the only one they said yes to. It's got to include this part of it. And he said, yep, because he's an asshole. So this is from Trump's Truth Sinkhole. I couldn't find the Biden's clone thing, but while scrolling through there to look at it,
I have it. I think I shared it on my Blue Sky.
Okay, great.
I think I put it on my Blue Sky.
I'll look there next. But the Democrat inspired and controlled Congressional Budget Office purposefully gave us an extremely low level of growth, 1.8% over 10 years. How ridiculous and unpatriotic is that? Which is hilarious. They did the same thing to us in 2017. We doubled their numbers. They did not. He did not have 4% growth during his time in office, and even
except around his middle.
Right. Exactly.
That's
well, and also you don't get to dodge.
Right,
you don't get to dodge the fact that you shit the bed on COVID. Right? That you cannot protect. Like, if it wasn't for that, sorry, asshole. If it wasn't for 9/11, I'm sure Bush 1 would have done his first presidency a little differently, right? But it happens, and that's the fucking job. Yep. So stop whining.
Yep.
The information they recently released is even more absurd and indefensible. I predict we will do 3, 4, or even 5 times the amount they purposely allotted to us.
Wrong.
1.8%. And with that, yeah, of course not. With just our minimum expected 3% growth, we will more than offset our tax cuts, which will, in actuality, cost us no money, which is, again, this idea that they're going to grow their way out of the tax cuts that he wants to do. But somehow we can't grow ourselves out of the tariffs that people can...
Nope.
Yeah.
You mean the arbitrary tariffs that he brought as one giant hate fuck against the world?
Yep,
for
those
no
you got to pass
reason
on to
other
everybody.
than he's jealous of Joe Biden?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's it.
How it's so blatantly obvious what these tariffs were intended to do.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't need them. We were doing great. We did not need to deliberately tank our economy out of spite, you fuckos, but that's what he's doing. And the cult is like, no, he's not. Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone who and people are still to this day continuing the false equivalence argument that Biden and Trump are equally bad, and that Joe Biden is a terrible human being who supports genocide, and Donald Trump is they're not the same. They have never been the same. The only thing that they ever did the same maybe was wear suits in public, and Joe Biden wears his better than Donald Trump wears his. So like there's nothing similar. Nothing. They don't. And we've talked about this also extensively, both here and on the Tara Show, which will be tomorrow and Tuesday at 2 p.m/11 a.m. And next Monday, by the way, I believe both Taras will be on with you. So there'll be an extra Tara Show next week, technically, because Devlin will be on in the first hour, and then I will be on in the second hour next Monday. It's a lot of Tara. A lot of Tara happening. But anyway, what was I even saying? What was I even saying?
Right. Well, the merit of it, yeah. Okay.
So I'm sorry, I totally lost what I was saying because I went into self-promotion mode.
It happens.
That's what I did.
I understand. This is the strawberry color I was telling you about. How is it that...
Anyway, he's a big liar, and everybody should know that.
One, how is it that RFK Jr. is always sunburned? Secondly, always.
Yeah, that is weird.
It's weird. It's not a tan. It's sunburn.
Maybe he'll get... He really looks like he's about to have a stroke.
Yeah.
He always looks like his head's about to explode, or something's gonna maybe he'll start molting. Like his skin is just gonna start peeling off of his face from swimming in shit water or eating dead animal carcasses. I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not really sure.
He's starting to get that toxic Avenger hue. This is a list of things where right and left ideology overlap, and why RFK Jr. kind of fit that sweet spot and was able to get into this position to kind of like flim-flam all the right people. And so obviously the right cares about woke influences in public education, health, autonomy, and mandates mainly about COVID vaccines. DEI, ESG is ideological overreach, religious, conservative, cultural values. Okay, and on the left, they had climate change and fossil fuel extraction is meaningful, corporate accountability across supply chains, labor rights, economic justice, access to healthcare, cost of treatment. Okay, that's where the left-wing pressure comes from. In the middle, this is where they both meet up and supposedly they both agree. Now, there's a fundamental flaw to this that I will point out in a second. But these are mistrust of corporate power, influence, and lobbying, public health, food, nutrition, and support for small farmers, and concern over corporate influence on children. So for all of these four are the ones that supposedly the left and the right
influences.
Right, that's what the right cares about.
At the very
top,
on
our side. But the idea is that
so angry.
Yes, this overlap here. Also, public health. I don't know how that becomes an overlap. I don't know quite what they mean in that regard. Just whatever. Just because they believe RFK Jr. should have the job. So maybe that's what. Right.
Killing.
Mistrust of corporate power, influence, and lobbying. Like on the right, it's such a fucking joke. It's just a joke. Like the Saudi stuff, the crypto, the Musk basically being in there pulling strings the entire time when he's got all these government contracts. It's a joke. It's a joke. Public health, same way. Get your measles shot instead of just going, it's government. It's the devil trying to make me act a certain way, and then kids die of measles, and you're like, well, you can't save everybody, and God, I'm pro-life, but God ain't, right? Food, nutrition, support for small farmers. Now, that's the weirdest one for me. That's just like, we believe in SNAP for the people that receive it. They believe in SNAP for the people who sell it. That's what they're talking about, as far as I can tell there.
And the soybean farmers who are losing their farms thanks to Trump. I mean, the ones who voted for Trump who are losing their farm.
Right. Concerns over corporate influence on children, which, again, this is like that thing about the Affordable Care Act. This is a thing about 56% of people don't like the Affordable Care Act when it came out. Well, half of them liked it because they didn't like it at all. They hated it because it shouldn't exist. And the other half didn't like it because it should go further. Those are not two of the same people. Those are not and you don't reach those people the same way. You don't message to those people the same way. And ultimately, the group that doesn't like it because it doesn't go far enough might still vote for people who want to keep it there, protect it, and all that kind of stuff, which is what Republicans are running into. And there's this concern over corporate influence on children. what they mean is Hollywood is turning your kids trans or gay. And what we mean is buying elections and also maybe Instagram. Maybe there's an overlap there. Maybe they're like, kids shouldn't be on Instagram because, it makes, young girls have body dysmorphia issues and shit like that, right? That's something there's a lot of crisscross
that's a valid argument.
I agree. So there's that. But the other three I would argue is just like this illusion of them matching up or overlapping. I mean, again, that's the fundamental flaw of this idea. But this is the window, this bullshit understanding of these issues and this kind of like, I hate this thing. You hate it for one reason. I hate it for the other. They are mutually exclusive reasons to hate this thing. But together we could both send in, like neither of us will send in someone that will make it better. Right? If the person hates it for existing and the other person hates it for not going far enough and thinks a magical solution is there in the wings, like hyper lefties on the ACA who were like, no ACA is better than an ACA because it lets people get along for a little while longer with the status quo or build on the status quo. Like, so rather not have it, fuck the people that would get insurance, the 24 million people who have been kept alive by it, screw them, they could just take one for the team. It's the same kind of, mismatch. But both of those people are, when they send somebody to Washington, when they distrust those things, they're not going to send somebody to Washington that will do the job. They're going to send somebody to Washington that will capsize the situation no matter what it is. They believe there's either an entrenched interest already that has control of it, and you have to burn the thing down. If you have two groups who believe in burning the thing down, they're never going to agree on sending somebody in that will fix it, but they can agree on sending someone in who will burn it down. And that's how we got Trump. That's how we got RFK Jr. That's how we're getting Kristi Noem and all these fuckers, is because they want somebody, the right wants it to burn down because, fucking government libertarian
and replace it with what?
Right.
But they don't have anything better to put in the place of what we have. Even before the election, Trump was like, I have concepts of a plan. No, you don't. When are we seeing those? In 2 weeks, along with your infrastructure bill? How do you tell the voting base of the United States of America, I'm taking away the health care you've been enjoying all along. I don't have anything to give you in its place. Hang on. We'll figure something out. No. You don't fuck with your own health. You do not fuck with your own livelihood. You don't put yourself in perilous situations to see how it's going to go. You're the boss of your own company, which is you, right? You're in charge of your life, your health, your body, your livelihood. And someone else is coming along to say, I'm going to take everything away from you. I don't know what we're going to give you in its place. Have fun. Right. We're all going to be out here flailing. Right? And that's also part of sowing the chaos and making everybody freak out so that he can come back and say, now I'm going to save you. But he doesn't tell you how. He just says, only I can fix it. Doesn't say how. It's only we can do this. And the Democrats made it so terrible. We're working on a way to fix it. But the Democrats didn't make it terrible because once again, as I've always said, our Democrats deliver everything Republicans remove. And going back to Trump and Biden are not the same because Joe Biden wanted everybody to thrive and the taco wants everyone unalive. I think that's the rhyme there. And also the taco thing is just glorious.
It is glorious. Well,
but I just want to say it's sticking to him forever. That's never going away. That is going to stick to him like a Taco Bell wrapper on his shoe forever and ever. And anything that embarrasses him is A-okay with me. I don't care how dumb it is. I don't care how stupid the memes are. I love them.
And it's pretty ubiquitous. Turns out it's an orange makeup after all this taco seasoning, right?
I love that. I love that. That's great. They've renamed Air Force One Panda Express because it
owned by the
delivers
same company.
An orange chicken.
That's kind of amazing.
And
this one right here.
That's
him
a great
holding
one.
A taco up
the
for
one
the fight.
I shared one. Someone made Melania in a handmaid's outfit, and underneath it says "of taco," which is great. And some people have said she wouldn't be a handmaid; she would be a wife. But the meme wouldn't look the same if she was in the green dress. You could call her Serena Joyless, but that's not the same. That one, I love that one. The Taco Bell.
Caroline Levitt and the taco.
Caroline Levitt is Taco Bell. That's beautiful.
Yes.
That's the best use of. That's when AI is good.
Yes.
That's
And
good.
there's a
I'm
bunch
fine
of,
with
and you'll
that
notice in
use
the
of
back there are like
AI.
these Trump
And then there's
chicken
the
pictures,
chicken.
and then
Yeah, no, it's
there's a
great. It's
giant
great.
taco. There's a
It's
taco on the MAGA
It's a
hat in the
beautiful
corner.
effort. It's a
Yeah,
beautiful effort here. I just
yeah,
that's A plus AI as far as I'm concerned.
yeah,
And the and also major props to Megan Casella of CNBC, the CNBC Shiro, because he did exactly what he always does. Mara Taco, that's good. He attacked the person asking him the question because you got embarrassed by the question.
right.
So when you just ask the question, that's enough. First of all, he didn't hear the question at all. He's like, I kick out? And then that's not even a thing. And then he's trying to overcompensate in real time because he's trying to figure out what don't ever say what you said. Taco, taco, taco. Everybody's saying it, dude. What are you going to do now? What are you going to do? And I have known for almost 10 years what a chicken he is because he blocked me on Twitter in August of 2015. This is great. Serving him the taco. I like the Let's Go Taco. There's the Let's Go Taco. Just like they used to do Let's Go Brandon. And here's what's beautiful about it. I love it. Love it. Love it. What I love about this also is Donald Trump has zero sense of humor about himself.
Yeah.
And if he had a sense of humor about himself, he would be able to capitalize on this the same way that Joe Biden capitalized. That's great.
Yeah.
When seeing Joe Biden embrace the dark Brandon was brilliant. Because it shows you he always had a sense of humor. Joe Biden has always had a sense of humor about himself, and he's the first one to make a joke about himself, which is why he always showed up at the White House Correspondents' Dinner all 4 years, because he is an affable, good-natured Irishman with a sense of humor and the gift of gab. Donald Trump is not. That's great also. Gulf of Taco. The memes are mwah. And SpaceX debris. See, it's stuff like this that just gives you the mood boost that you need to keep fighting.
Yeah.
Right? And they are so MAGA is so mad over this.
Yeah,
they cannot. They cannot come back. And the only thing that they're coming back, there it is, Let's Go Taco. The only responses that I have seen to this are, that's our word, because they're the R word. That is our word, petard, but with the R.
Yeah.
They'll say that, or they'll say the left can't meme. And it's just like, cope harder because you got nothing. You cannot. That whoever,
yeah.
Anything that embarrasses Trump, just inject it into my veins like ketamine. Because
there it is, Taco Bell.
This is how you right. That's beautiful too.
That's how you get them.
You that is exactly because this is where they live. This is their mentality. If you call them Taco, we will arrest you. Shut up, Taco Man. Beautiful, beautiful.
Yep.
Beautiful and embarrassing. I might take George W. Bush out of there because George W. Bush is best friends with Harlan Crow and would not. That's why he wouldn't endorse Kamala Harris. But that's okay.
Right.
That's fine. That's just it. But there's Let's Go Taco. Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that for us. Right? This is a gift.
By the way, these are going to be
the internet.
Oh my God, these are going to be like hot sellers. The Let's Go Taco.
Glorious.
Like.
This is great for the Democrats, and Joni Ernst telling everybody we're going to die is another great thing for the Democrats. The Democrats have already tweeted her telling everybody that we're going to die. So that's, I want whoever runs against Joni Ernst, there's your campaign. There's your whole campaign. Joni Ernst is telling you you're going to die, and Democrats are here to make your life better. That's all her Democrat. Same with Ashley Hinson, another Iowa Trump coups. Also she had 2 town halls and got screamed at both town halls. So something wrong with Republican women in Iowa, but you absolutely chickened out on tariffs. You absolutely backed down. That's beautiful.
That's horrifying, but great. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Now I want tacos
what I'm saying is, right? And he's not ruining the tacos because if you remember, Hillary Clinton promised us taco trucks on every corner.
Yeah.
And now is the time to deliver.
Yeah. The Let's Go Taco truck
on that.
What could possibly go wrong?
Exactly. You can turn the beast. Has anybody done an AI of turning the beast into a Taco Bell delivery truck?
Yes, there was one.
Done that?
Yeah, there was one already.
I would like to see that.
I scrolled right past it. We'll find it. It was back up here.
The
but
beast
there,
is a
there
delivery
it is.
It's the same way that we've seen.
There it is. It's a giant taco.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
It's good, but it's good.
Mm-hmm. Make America great again.
Someone also did a
taco.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's like it. I like it. Somebody also, I don't know if it's real or if it's AI, but somebody rainbow painted a cyber the Space Pinto, the Cybertruck, because it's Pride Month. So they have painted a Cybertruck with rainbow colors. So yeah, all of it is great. And this is the way you get to the MAGA feels people.
Yeah,
the snowflakes hate this. They hate all of it, and so eat it, little baby taco for little baby man, little baby man. I could do this all day. Yeah, I could do all day, right?
Yeah.
So the tweaker
somebody
and the
wrote
taco.
somebody wrote taco on in front of Trump International in chalk, which I think needs to happen all the time.
All the time.
Right.
All the time. And this will also, when we do our No Kings March on the 14th, I expect a lot of taco influenced signs and outfits. And maybe someone will even, you know what should happen is in every city, but particularly here in Portland, because we have such a huge food truck, population here, all the taco trucks. Every taco truck in Portland should show up at the No Kings March and they will make every taco truck, every taco establishment in this country should be making bank on the tacos.
Yeah.
Get it all. Make it happen.
And again,
I look
feel
at that.
like people
That's great. Oh God, is that beautiful?
People need to post these all over like Truth Social and like wherever he will see them, because it will make him grind. It's
also respond
one of the imbalances,
MAGA Republicans with that.
Yeah.
The real ones, not the fake, not the bot ones, because we don't waste time. But if you are a person who is active on social where Republicans post, these are great to respond to Republicans with.
Yeah, I want a reporter to show up when they're asking him. Okay, reporters who are asking about something, especially after the whole what a nasty question experience. They need to print out a bunch of these things and go, Mr. President, these are the kind of memes that are showing up online around this. So you know that the reporter didn't come up with this, and just flash these fucking things at him. Like, have a dozen. You'll probably get through 6 before he shuts you down. Great. And I'll go, you can keep them if you want to look at them, so know that they're there. But these are all over social media.
They're everywhere.
And And I like that would do more. You wish that things that mattered affected him more, but they won't. They just won't. So better that something gets him. This will be it. This more than anything else, this will get him.
Oh, that one is very popular, and that's a really anything in. Also, somebody put him in Toy Story 2. It's the Chicken Man.
Yeah,
Remember
right.
From Toy Story 2.
Yep.
Okay, the Chicken Man. All of it, and again, we're dealing with the dumbest cult in global history.
Yeah.
We're super triggered by shit like this. That's how stupid they are. This is the level where they are. When Michelle Obama was like, when they go low, we go high. This is us going high.
It is.
But this much higher. Just this much. Just this much, because we don't have to make that much of an effort to be higher than we already are, right? So you see this is beating them at their own game.
Right.
Because they thought they had something with the Let's Go Brandon and the Dark Brandon. They really thought they had something. And they're like, the left can't meme. And it's like, fuck you. Yes, we can. Not only can we meme, but we will kill you at the meme game every time. Every time. So please, do not step to me. Do not say that your meme game is better than my meme game when it's not.
This is amazing. Like,
I think that one might be one of my favorite ones.
Me too.
That might be. And I'd like to see, you know what I would like to see? Stephen Miller in a sombrero would be cool too. Stephen Miller in a sombrero holding a taco would be great, because he's so anti-Mexican everything.
Right.
And he's always hangry because there's just not enough babies to eat after they've been separated from their mothers at the border. So, maybe a baby in a taco while he's wearing a sombrero. Can someone make me that? Maybe I'll do it. I don't know. I think AI is the devil most of the time. But when it comes to look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, what would be good if you made him remember the soup Nazi? Make him the taco Nazi.
Sure. Yeah.
Soup Nazi from Seinfeld making the taco. We could do this all day.
Yeah, exactly.
Couldn't we do this all day?
The point I want to make, though, is that he has no shame, but he can be embarrassed. And
Yes.
that's the key
all
to
about
this.
the ego.
Yes, he can be embarrassed. And so that's all that matters. Embarrass the hell out of him. And again, the other element is shove the presidency down his throat. Every complaint you've ever had about something that the federal government should be doing, now is the time to write that letter. Now is the time to send a direct letter to the head of the department, to the secretary of, whatever cabinet that would be. If it's a road, a highway off-ramp near you, it's time to write a 3-page letter to the Department of the Interior or the Department of Transportation, or both. Send it to both. So that they get, what the fuck is all this work? Because we all want them to have the Bongholio effect. We all want them to be going,
he was crying.
Oh my fucking God.
My job's so hard.
What an absolute bitch.
Snowflake who blocked me in 2016. I think he's the blockingest besides Seb Gorka. I think he and Seb Gorka are the blockingest of all MAGA. And that Gunther Eagleman guy, whatever he is. Big major. They block everybody. Everybody. But I mean, it's just so in
the chicken Cheeto taco.
86-47. Right. 86-47. The way that
cool
they
shell formation on my beach walk. I mean, that's pretty good. That's good.
That is out-Comeying James Comey.
It's the only thing that matters to him. Right. We wish he cared about real shit, but he doesn't. So if this works, hammer the hell out of it. And it's not going to go away, by the way, because he's not going to stop doing this.
It's never going away.
It's never going away.
We're never going to stop doing this.
So please, for God's sake.
Just, if we're slightly... Please keep doing it. It restores your faith in humanity briefly, because it's bringing us together as a nation. Right? That's a unifying message right there. You want a unifying message for the Democrats? Let's go taco. There's your unifying message. And keep it going. Keep it going. Like, oh my God.
All right. AI needs some help, because those look like that doesn't look like cheese. It looks like the little bananas in not Nerds. What's that other company? Or that other candy? It's that has like bananas and fruits in it, but they're hard as a rock. You know what I'm talking about?
They're not Nerds. There's something else.
Yeah, but they're like Nerds. They're that hard. Yeah, it looks like those.
And then the purple box.
Yes,
right.
That's exactly right.
I mean, he couldn't fit 5 tacos in his tiny puckered anus mouth, but it's a start. You know what they could do, because he wants to be a monarch, is make him one of those Henry VIII collars, but the collar is all tacos.
Right.
And he's like got a scepter with a taco. It should just never stop doing this. And again, when you feel you are overwhelmed by the terror, look at him. Is that from today or
Runts.
yesterday?
Thank you, Andrea.
God,
like Runts. Shit. Thank you, chat room. Yeah.
Runts. Oh my God, with a Z. Runts with a Z. He just looks like 18 buckets of shit.
Yeah.
All at once.
Absolutely.
Just always. He never looks good. You never see him wearing a t-shirt, a plain t-shirt. You never see him in a t-shirt and jeans like you see Joe Biden. Joe Biden can wear a pair of jeans and a t-shirt. Not boobs McMaga here. Nope, not him. Right. His boobs are bigger than mine now, not to body shame, but I get to shame him because he has spent his life shaming women's bodies.
Right.
And that's, again, giving as good as you get. It's just... And I will meet people where they are and ask them to kind of step up a little bit. I got a guy right now who's trolling me on Instagram who didn't vote for Kamala or Trump. And I'm like, if you haven't voted, you don't get the right to bitch about the government. And yet he's bitching about the government. And my claim, we're fighting over the fact that Joe Biden is more beloved than Donald Trump, and they are not the same. That's what we're fighting over. I mean, the taco tanks on every corner. So this just, again, Joe Biden, with a sense of humor about himself, used the dark brand to his advantage. Donald Trump will never do that with the tacos. He could if he had a sense of humor about himself, or if anybody around him had a sense of humor. But instead, we're going to have this. Yeah. And it's always going to embarrass them. And so I would suggest to everybody in the chat, if you're ever feeling disheartened by something, come back with a taco, make it into a taco. Yeah. Put it in a taco shell. Put it in front of their faces.
This
and really go after, if you're on a social media thing where you have MAGA people and you have members of Congress, show it to them. You share it with them. Email it to them.
You
can email
pass it on.
Congress.
Right.
Let them all see, like, well, this is your guy. This is you. This is you and Joni Ernst. Go have a taco together, because I mean, I think it's all starting to really fracture, and there's gonna be a point where some Republican stands up and goes, "Fuck it, I can't do this."
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, Rand Paul has already said the emperor has no clothes, and Ron Johnson's pushing against the big bullshit bill, and it's with little fractures like that, it'll crumble like a taco shell. It'll all crumble like a taco shell.
What do you like better, Mar-a-Lago or Taco-Lago? Taco-Lago, I like better.
I like Taco-Lago. Mar-a-Taco sounds good. Taco-Lago sounds like funnier. Kind of sounds like a El Pollo Loco, Pollo Loco. It's kind of Taco Loco, Mar-a-Lago, Loco. There's something in, I'm sure, either Mar-a-Lago, Mar-a-Taco, or Taco-Lago. Either one works, as long as you're using taco. In there, Taco Tower was good. I like that a lot. And I appreciate,
well, you get the Terra Taco tomorrow and Thursday if you check out the Terra show.
Taco. Double Decker Terra Taco. TNT, we're dynamite tomorrow and Thursday on the Political Voices Network YouTube. Please sign up for my Substack, Devlin's Substack, Hal's Substack, and please don't sleep on The Sound of Settling, a rock and roll love story. Nobody is buying Jake Tapper's Lying Crap book, and they've shut off the comments on Amazon on Jake Tapper's Lying Crap book. But The Sound of Settling, everybody who really reads it, not the fake MAGA, but Sound of Settling, it should say TSOS for The Sound of Settling. And the sequel. I have a sequel ready to go, but I haven't put it out there yet because I'm waiting for the proper book deal. So everyone, please go to TaraDublinRocks.com. TaraDublinRocks.com. Get yourself a copy. They are available paperback, Kindle, and also as an Audible, which is AI, which is not my favorite thing in the world, but at least you can listen to it now. And then someday when I get the proper book deal, because it's going to happen, I'll either record it or I'll get Ellen Barkin. That would be the way to do it. Yeah, she loves it and she wants to play the rock star's mom, and Ellen Barkin is hot. So everybody, I love you. Thank you for being here. Hey, Hal, I appreciate you so much. I'm going to go write a Substack now about this particular episode and how everybody should watch it. But also, we're also going to really lean into the whole the tacoing of America.
Yeah,
we're going to just blanket this country.
And I'm going to go take my kid for tacos right
across
now,
America.
I think we have to.
I mean, I think we all have to have a taco today. All right, everybody, be good to each other, and I'll see you tomorrow on the Tower Show.
Excellent. All right,
bye.
Cheers. Bye. There she goes, ladies and gentlemen. Out she goes, and thank you guys as well for hanging in there. Good morning, good day, and good afternoon, and I will see you this afternoon for the regular show. Yes, the taco stuff is awesome, and it's. Hold on, I'm gonna reshape this because now that I've got an actual chat in here, and I know I can make it work. Hold on. Get it back here. I can see. Whoop. Hold on. I'm on the. Oh, I said on the wrong button. There we go. Stretch this out so I can see some of your answers, and it they don't get cut off. Much better. Something like that. Sure. Yeah. That'll work, I guess. I'll change the shape of it to a square so that it fits in there. Excelsior. Yes, it was fun with Tara. Absolutely. Tacos aren't just for Tuesday. Agrees. Thanks, guys. Later, everyone. Don't forget, like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. The Venmo's right there. I should probably move it to another place, but I just put it in there because it's scenery. So that if I have to go get a cat, you guys can look at it. Let me see if should I see if Bucky's around? He's upstairs. He's upstairs. We'll have him come and visit on the afternoon show, but only if you show up. Yeah. Also, I feel like I should have it the tip jar is back. That works. And I feel like I should put like the emojis in this screen right here or whatever so that they're bouncing around like the emoji wall, just so is there a cat in the bunker? There's always a cat in the bunker. It's a cat-friendly bunker, always. Although I haven't decided. I may be in the space station later on this afternoon with some new rooms added to it because I made them, so I might as well use them. And then, of course, I've got the log cabin. I'm not quite sure what I might ironically use that for Friday Eye this week. We'll see. So I'm building new rooms and the like, and also my camera crapped out. The Elgato that I have went south, so I'm using this other one, and it makes me very peachy looking. I'm gonna try and work on that. Hopefully, it'll fix itself. We don't know. I don't know. I don't know why it's being weird. There's no particular reason. It's plugging directly into the computer. It's just super slow. It's like it's on slow motion. It's very strange. It should be fast enough. Maybe I need a new cable. We'll see. It might be that. Might be I have to go out, tacos, and a new USB-C cable. I think that's my afternoon. How's your day? How are you doing? But in the meantime, we're out. I'll see you this afternoon. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. Like, subscribe, support the show. Hi, we'll be on Instagram later too. I'll figure out what the heck was wrong with that. Okay, bye. Whoa, the space station's still there. Spaceship's still there.
It's how Sparks Megaworldwide. News, laughs, and righteous sass kicks fake news right in the face.
Hey, Boston Brian. There he is.
So smash that like and don't be shy. Subscribe now or blink and cry.